This page is the cover of N64 Pro magazine, featuring a cracking shot of Rayman, who's the main man for this issue with an exclusive first look at Rayman 2. Remember that one? The first proper 3D Rayman. It was a belter. Down the side, they've reviewed Mario Party, and clearly played it till they dropped, which is exactly how you should play Mario Party, isn't it? Absolute chows with mates. They've also played to death. A decent list of other games. Mario Party again, Castlevania. The N64 one was a bit different, eh? The original Smash Bros, which was just starting its reign of party game terror, All-Star Tennis, and Virtual Pool. A proper mix there. You also got some freebies like posters, and a buyer's guide, and there's a competition to win an inflatable game throne. Sounds comfortable? Even if they are quick to point out that Gorilla isn't included, this cover really brings back memories of browsing the magazine rack back in the day, seeing what was new and exciting on the N64. Good times. This magazine offers cheats for over 700 N64, PlayStation, and PC games, accessible by calling a premium rate number. A competition, with prizes including a TV, PlayStation, and N64, is also available, requiring a different phone number. Rayman promotes the issue, and the Lads section features humorous commentary on French culture. Finally, the 8 Commandments of N64 Pro outlines the magazine's editorial promises, emphasizing honest reviews, cheat coverage, and reader engagement. This page is the cover, obviously. It's N64 Pro, April 1999, issue 19, claiming to be the world's biggest N64 mag. Right away you see Rayman 2 is the big cover story, which was a pretty decent looking game back then. They're promising wins, free guides, and free posters. You've got guides for the legendary Turok 2, and the fantastic Star Wars, Rogue Squadron. Loads of reviews are listed too, featuring absolute classics like Mario Party, Castlevania, and Smash Bros. They even have a feature on Quake 2, which was a revelation on console, and a dig at the PlayStation with World Driver Championship. Plus, all the usual suspects are there. Cheats, news, reader letters, and the full game database. Looks like a solid issue, full of N64 goodness. This magazine issue focuses heavily on the Nintendo 64, featuring Rayman 2 as a key highlight. The issue promises vibrant 3D platforming with water skiing and horse riding gameplay. Other prominent features include a preview of World Driver Championship, touted as a Gran Turismo killer with fast racing, and a competition for Micro Machines Turbo 64 gear. Reviews of Mario Party and Star Wars X-Wing are also previewed. Sales charts show Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and Turok 2 dominating the UK charts, while Nintendo 64 Pro's team favors Mario Party and Smash Bros. The issue also includes a dog-related news item and various other game previews. This page spotlights Rayman 2, a fast-paced 3D platformer with new moves like swinging, slated for release in August. A Rayman animated TV series is also in the works. Other news includes a Game Throne giveaway contest, Konami's spooky game, and a DMA surreal classic. N64 racing game Road Rage, featuring car-on zombie mayhem, is coming in April. The page also features a look at classic N64 bosses and a Quake 2 competition. This page is a proper blast from the past, showcasing Department 1, which looks like a major hub for N64 enthusiasts back in the day. They're pushing hard on swapping your old games for new ones, offering 2/3 of the price they sell it for in exchange, or a cheeky half in cash. Smart way to keep stock moving. They're big on being the #1 for mail order and claim the best prices in Europe for N64 games. There are huge lists of games for sale, split by genre like 3D shoot-'em-ups, platformers, sports, and racing, covering both PAL/UK and NTSC/US versions, with prices clearly marked. Lots of classics are listed, including games like Doom 64, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, and plenty of FIFA 98/99. They don't just sell games, they've got consoles and accessories too, both new and second-hand. Plus, a fun little section on collectibles like Bomberman and Mario figures. They promise free delivery on everything, and next-day delivery if you order early enough. A proper buy-sell exchange operation, located down in London for those who could pop in. Looks like they've got a decent selection and a solid guarantee. No quibble, full refund if you're not happy. Proper customer service, that. This page kicks off with a cracking chance to win. They're giving away 10 family tickets to Chessington World of Adventures, tied into a word search comp featuring 64 and park favourites. Proper day out, that. Then you've got a quick rundown of what's inside, promising a deep dive into Nintendo's world. They tease reviews, highlighting the absolute chaotic brilliance of Smash Bros. On page 36, a fighting game with all your Nintendo mates. Sounds like a right laugh. Glover gets the cracked open treatment on page 68. Apparently, that little chap was a surprise hit. And of course the always entertaining Reader's Reviews section is featured on page 86, where the fans get to weigh in. The main event on this page is a big feature on Quake 2. It's billed as a blueprint, giving us the lowdown on id Software's upcoming N64 port. After fighting fiends and death knights in the first one, the Marines back for more action against the Strogg. The article, titled Quakers Get Their Oats, talks about the fast-paced, limb-ripping gameplay, new weapons like the Railgun and Hyper Blaster, and mentions a 4-player deathmatch which sounds absolutely mental. They were expecting it in April, which was just around the corner. Looks visually intense from the screenshots, lots of dark corridors and angry cyborgs. Finally, there's a bit about Quake 2 fragging figures from Bandai, featuring some of the game's major characters as action figures. Sounds like a neat collectible for fans. This page kicks off with a couple of things you could splash your hard-earned pocket money on. On the left, there's a handy guidebook for a $5, promising to sort out your gaming woes. It covers classics like Banjo-Kazooie, looking chipper on the cover, Mario Kart 64, and even the legendary GoldenEye 007. Seems like a decent deal if you were stuck on a level. Bang in the middle, we've got a bit of a treasure hunt. They've sent some poor Scooby-Doo lookalike, called Scoop off into space, and you need to find him hidden somewhere else in the mag to win a couple of brand new N64 carts. Good luck tracking down that space-bound hound. Gnindok. Over on the right, it's the big mail order section from Game. They're touting themselves as a name you can trust, spread across the UK. They've got some cracking deals on show, like Zelda, Ocarina of Time and Star Wars, Rogue Squadron. Absolute must-haves those. Plus, there are pages and pages listing games across various genres, from racing to fighting, and even accessories. Oh, and a nice little sweetener. You can bag a free memory card with any game order. Mail order was the way to go back then if your local shop didn't have what you wanted. Scoop, the Hound, boasts his gallery of games, featuring several upcoming titles. Vigilante 8, a groovy 70s-inspired driving game, promises vehicular mayhem. Shadowman, the anticipated N64 game, is described as a spooky experience. Duke Nukem 0 Hour is confirmed for a soon release, with classic Duke action. Rampage Universal Tour, a sequel to the successful original, will deliver more giant monster action. Finally, in Fisherman Bass Hunter, a dedicated fishing game, may surprise with its peaceful gameplay. This page lays out the absolute essential N64 release schedule for the year, showing you exactly what glorious pixels you'd be staring at. Don't get bogged down in the full list here, but trust me, it covers pretty much everything hitting the consoles from early '99 right through to winter, featuring gems like Vigilante 8, Shadowman, Duke Nukem, 0 Hour and Rampage among many others. Then you've got the must-buys, highlighting Quake 2 Perfect for blasting some demons while you wait for Perfect Dark apparently, and the absolute classic Mario Party. Grab a copy, some mates and yes probably some Tizer, and you're set for the night. Both feature great screenshots showing the Chow Chaitik fun. Over on the right are the forthcoming attractions, giving you a sneak peek at the racing goodness coming our way. There's Beetle Adventure racing with its stunts and visuals, the fast-paced F1 thrills of Monaco Grand Prix, the delightfully anarchic Carmageddon 64 where pedestrians are merely obstacles, and the stunning-looking World Driver Championship. All come with inviting screenshots to get you hyped. Finally, just bubbling under, is Goemon's Great Adventure, promising some classic 2D platforming action powered by the mighty N64. It's great to see a bit of variety in there. The Software House Leagues, a ranking system for N64 games, awards points based on quality, placing publishers like Nintendo at the top. Nintendo dominates the Premier League due to numerous high-quality releases. Acclaim and Infogrames follow, while others like EA and Konami are in mid-table. Division 1 shows more mixed results, with some publishers struggling to score points. The article features a reader dream team of N64 characters, highlighting key titles like Ocarina of Time and its praised gameplay. Screenshots showcase various games like Center Court Tennis, Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, and FIFA 99. The article effectively tracks publisher performance and highlights notable games. Why? This page lays out the monthly review spread, kicking off with features on 3 absolute belters: Mario Party, Castlevania, and Smash Bros., each getting their own pages later on. You see Mario himself, the chap from Castlevania, and a classic duo of Donkey Kong and Pikachu, ready for a scrap in Smash Bros. It gives you a little teaser for each game, hinting at the fun to come. Down below you've got the reviewers, showing the faces of the team and a snippet of their thoughts on the games they tackled this month. Looks like there was some serious competition for the big reviews. Then there's the scores, explaining their famous sore thumb award for games you'd happily sacrifice a relative for, and how their scoring system works, from the must-buys down to the ones best left on the shelf. Finally, the lowdown tells you exactly what they judge games on: graphics, sound, gameplay and lastability, and how they structure their reviews. It even reminds you about the league points from the previous page, all ready to get stuck into the reviews proper on the next page. This page kicks off the full review for Mario Party, clearly earning itself the much-coveted Sore Thumb Award, which means it's an absolute cracker. Mario himself is here, looking as fresh as a daisy, apparently despite wearing the same threads for a decade. Fair play to the chap, must be good fabric. The review sets the scene for a massive party, with all the gang, Wario, DK, Yoshi, and Peach are all making an appearance. Steve's on writing duties here, giving his initial thoughts and reminiscing a bit about the plumber. He even throws in a nod to the classic Super Mario Bros. Cave theme being played, which sounds like pure nostalgia fuel. Down the side, they give you a peek at the Super Subs, just a handful of the over 50 minigames crammed into this absolute blast. You get screenshots showing off the frantic fun, from musical timing in Mario's bandstand to tugging on Bowser's face in Facelift and navigating tricky platforms in Platform Peril. It looks like pure multiplayer mayhem, just what the N64 was made for. This certainly follows up nicely from the preview page, getting straight into the review details. This page dives deeper into the absolute chows that is Mario Party. We've got Donkey Kong looking chuffed with a treasure chest, massive stacks of coins that make Scrooge McDuck jealous, and the ever-lovely Princess Peach looking shalaka, well, peachy. Luigi's here too, having a little chat with the reviewer Lewis, who cheekily asks how many games Luigi's actually starred in. A proper dig that. The review highlights Roll Call, calling it a favourite minigame, simple but always good for a laugh, despite the slightly painful control method using the stick. It then recounts the rather bizarre conversation where a mushroom bloke, who sounds alarmingly sinister apparently, lays down the law about playing Mario Party alone. Don't you dare. The game's main board mode is described as "it's all a blur," which, let's be honest, sounds about right. You roll dice, move, and get whisked off to one of the 50+ mini-challenges, like the frankly rubbish A Good Tug, where Lewis and the reviewer failed miserably. Naturally, Lewis gets blamed. There's also a warning about the notorious Akai Breaky Pad. Seriously, get your mates to bring their own controller, because this game will absolutely thrash your joystick into submission. Finishing off, there's a helpful tip extra, suggesting you memorize the minigames to gain an edge. Sounds like standard party game tactics to me. This page finishes off that absolute riot of a review for Mario Party. It gets a solid 87%, which is pretty decent, though the review does moan a bit about the single player being a bit pants and some of the graphics being a bit rough around the edges. But hey, for multiplayer, it's apparently one of the best out there, causing riotous laughs. The scores break down well. Graphics are a mixed bag, 6/10. Sound is cracking, 8/10. Gameplay is brilliant in multiplayer, but dull alone, 9/10. And lastability is top-notch, lasting into the next millennium, a whopping 9/10. Other folks weigh in too, all agreeing it's a top multiplayer laugh, though maybe a bit sore on the thumb. There's also a little nod to a similar looking game that's supposedly perfect for kids. And look, a big picture of Toad telling you to turn the page for Smash Brothers. On the right, there's a big old advert for new age consoles, flogging off Dreamcasts, PSX and N64 imports and UK titles, plus various accessories with prices listed. This page plunges us into the gothic darkness with a review of Castlevania on the N64. The headline's a bit of a laugh, asking a joke about a house looking in a mirror, clearly Dracula's joint. The intro text wastes no time, announcing the return of the legendary vampire-hunting Belmonts and calling for a garlic-fueled fight. We've got a big old picture of a rather scary werewolf, and the game's title splashed across the page. The review itself sets the scene, pulling text from a spooky-sounding tome, hinting at the atmosphere. It confirms we'll be battling all the classic monsters, werewolves, skeletons, demons, the lot, and crucially, Dracula himself. You get to choose your weapon against the night. Play as Reinhard Schneider, a Belmont descendant wielding that famous whip, or Carrie Fernandez, who's apparently a bit easier for beginners with her fireballs. And they make sure to tell you right off the bat, these hunters are absolutely not related to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Sounds like it's time to brave the horrors and crack that whip. This page continues the deep dive into Castlevania on the N64, kicking things off with a helpful tip extra, suggesting you might find it easier to start your vampire hunting career as Carrie, thanks to her homing attacks, saving Reinhardt and his whip skills for a second run. There's a look at the player select screen showing our two heroes, Reinhardt Schneider and Carrie Fernandez, making sure you know who's who, and definitely not Simon or Trevor apparently. The review text goes into how choosing your character really does change the experience, not just the weapons, as different areas become accessible. It mentions the classic Castlevania array of special weapons like the knife, holy water, axe and cross, and highlights the relentless onslaught of creatures like werewolves, vampires, and especially those ever-present skeletons that rise from their dusty tombs in endless numbers, like a great wave of angry bone. The Dem Bones section with multiple screenshots really hammers that point home. There's a bit of chatter about the combat and perhaps a sly comment on the control system or camera, but overall it sounds like the game ramps up nicely. And honestly, Reinhardt's portrait on the right with his exasperated query about being armed with just a whip and a blue rinse against hordes of undead is pure gold, and perfectly captures the classic Castlevania vibe. Castlevania receives an 88% score, praised for its action-packed, frightening and hammy horror elements. The game, though initially slow, becomes engaging. Screenshots highlight platforming and puzzle solving using levers. A tip advises frequent saving due to potential memory pack issues. The game features diverse enemies like behemoths, exploding skeletons, and vampires. Graphics are rated 7/10, sound 8/10, gameplay 8/10, and replayability 8/10. While some find it slow or repetitive, overall, the 3D adventure is positively received. Rocks. This page is all about the glorious madness that is Smash Brothers. It's the ultimate showdown where your favorite Nintendo mates decide to have a proper dust-up. The reviewer here clearly loves the idea of Mario saying let's go outside and getting stuck into a scrap. You've got shots of Link ready to rumble, Pikachu sparking about, and poor Kirby looking a bit squished. The review highlights the sheer fun of beating 7 shades of eggshell out of characters like Mario, Link, Pikachu, and Donkey Kong. It calls the gameplay style unique, not quite a typical beat-em-up, but a chow-tick platform fighter, where throwing opponents off the edge is key. There's mention of picking up weapons and items like guns and flamethrowers. Brilliant! It touches on the various stages, showing screenshots of places like Sector Z, Castle Hyrule, Congo Jungle, and even Yoshi's Island, each with its own quirks. The tone is high energy and excited, clearly embracing the absurdity of watching these usually friendly faces go at it hammer and tongs. The reviewer even reckons Donkey Kong is the only beast with more hair than Noelle, whoever that is. It's pure, unadulterated Nintendo mayhem. This page wraps up the review of Smash Brothers, showing you the basic controls. Pretty straightforward stuff, jump here, punch there, shield with the Z button, lovely. It also delves into the smashing bonus stages which are key to unlocking secrets like characters and extra levels. You'll be busy with those for weeks. Now, the bath time bother section makes it clear this isn't some deep, complex fighter like Mortal Kombat, more of a chow tactic casual bash-em-up. But hey, that's where the fun is, right? Throwing your mates around is far more entertaining than practicing 30-hit combos. The team shares their favorite characters in Pro Punishers. Mario, Pikachu, Kirby, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, and Fox all get a shout-out, each with a little quip. There's also a section running through all the main Nintendo All-Stars, like Link and Samus, just to remind you who you'll be pummeling. Overall, it scores a cracking 85%. The review praises the big, colorful graphics and fast gameplay, though it notes the limited movesets might affect how long you play solo. Still, for multiplayer madness they reckon it's top-notch and a proper laugh. The why not try suggests MK4, but let's be honest, tearing heads off is not the same as chucking Yoshi across the screen. Finally, you get some other opinions from the team and a reader, all echoing the sentiment that it's brilliant multiplayer fun. This page moves on to something a bit different, All-Star Tennis 99. The review kicks off talking about the winter chill thawing and getting ready for summer sports, specifically tennis, with a serving of fruit salad tennis stars. You've got illustrations of a couple of the players, one bloke and one rather attractive blonde lass, who's asking if her bum looks big in her dress classic. There are also plenty of screenshots showing the action on the court, featuring different angles and players. The game looks pretty colorful and fast-paced from these shots. The reviewer ponders why tennis games are a decent punt, saying they're simple. Hit the ball, someone knocks it back, lovely stuff. They also highlight the multiplayer aspect as a key selling point, especially as the balance keeps things fresh unlike some football games. There's even a cheeky nod to the bizarre idea of strip tennis. Warrington no, you get a look at the N64 controller, showing the general purpose shot control with the D-pad/stick for spin and direction, covering lob and smash shots. There's also a spin to win section walking you through using spin on your shots with a few action screenshots. A tip XTRA gives advice on serving aces, telling you where to position yourself and flick the stick for a near unstoppable shot. The review promises power serves, special trick shots, and enough explosives to give Bomberman a run for his money, which sounds rather intriguing. They certainly seem impressed with the variety on offer. All-Star Tennis 99 receives a high 89% score, praised for its impressive multiplayer with extra tricks and top-notch graphics. Gameplay is sharp and intuitive, with diverse modes like Smash Tournaments, Arcade, and the bizarre Bomb Tennis. A dozen players, including pros like Michael Chang, offer slightly differentiated stats. Special moves and a decent commentator add to the experience. While single-player might become repetitive, multiplayer is highly recommended. The review suggests exploring center court tennis for a cartoony alternative. This page dives headfirst into the world of N64 billiards, with a review of Virtual Pool 64, hailed as the first pool game to grace the console. The reviewer, pictured here looking rather enthusiastic, wasn't initially keen, apparently confusing it with a swimming pool simulator. Bless him. But fear not, it turns out to be a rather clever simulation of classic pub pool, tackling everything from 8-ball and beyond. They discuss the difficulty levels, cunningly labeled amateur, professional, and championship, and mention helpful options like ball trajectory guides for us mere mortals. While the controls using the analog stick might feel like handling a cue with all the finesse of a ham-fisted elephant at first, the review reassures you'll get the hang of it for pulling back to set shot strength. Technically, it sounds quite sharp, with praise for the precise ball physics and crisp graphics running at a respectable resolution for the time. There's a handy replay feature, and a diagram breaks down the N64 controller inputs. The Potless Luck section walks you through potting a ball step by step with screenshots, which is rather useful. Looks like a solid entry for anyone wanting to sink some virtual spheres. The rest of the review is waiting on page 56. This page features a rather exciting looking spread for Star Wars Rogue Squadron. There's a big banner announcing a free guide pullout, cheekily called the Blagger's Guide to Star Wars Rogue Squadron, plastered over an epic space scene with the Death Star and a familiar hunk of junk. We've also got a cheeky green alien fellow holding something up, asking, "Who needs the Force when you've got something as good as this in your hands?" Bit bold, but fair enough for Rogue Squadron. The rest of the page is dedicated to an advert for gameplay, pushing themselves as Britain's largest mail-order computer game supplier. They're shouting about having the world's most powerful consoles at Britain's lowest prices, complete with free 48 hours delivery. They're offering everything from N64 consoles and bundles, to loads of games including second-hand ones, Game Boy kit, controllers and accessories. They seem quite confident about their unbeatable service and guarantees. This page dives straight into the promised Blagger's Guide for Star Wars Rogue Squadron, landing us in the cheat zone. Our green alien pal is still here, telling us the first few levels are just training runs and he'll be back later when things heat up. Sounds like he thinks he's the top gun. Anyway, the guide kicks off with Mission 1, Ambush at Mos Eisley, explaining how to deal with those pesky Imperial probe droids and TIE bombers attacking the spaceport. It highlights how vulnerable the droids are one hit, apparently, and advises using your brakes behind the bombers for an easy kill. Next up is Mission 2, Rendezvous on Barkesh, which is all about protecting a convoy. It warns against rushing ahead and leaving the convoy exposed, and gives tips on quickly dealing with its walkers and TIE bombers, noting missiles are the quickest way for the walkers. Finally, Mission 3. The search for the Nonna sends us looking for a crashed ship. The guide tells you to stay low, find the wreck, deal with fighters, then protect the Imperial shuttle that shows up. It specifically mentions focusing on the ATPT walkers that deploy, and how the awing is fast enough to catch those sluggish bombers. There's even a section on bomber bummers, and dealing with TIE interceptors while protecting the rescue shuttle. Just don't shoot your ride. It's a decent rundown of those early challenges. This Star Wars Rogue Squadron guide continues with challenging missions. Mission 4, Defection at Corellia, involves dealing with probe droids, TIE bombers, and attack walkers. Use the tow cable. Mission 5, Liberation of Gerard V, requires protecting Y-wings from turbo lasers, missile turrets, and speedy TIE interceptors. Mission 6, the Jade Moon, focuses on clearing a path for a convoy, taking out ATPT walkers, turbo lasers, and other enemy fighters. Prioritizing enemy bombers is key throughout, as they heavily damage rebel structures. This N64 Pro Cheat Zone guide continues Star Wars Rogue Squadron walkthroughs. Mission 7, Imperial Construction Yards, involves destroying radar dishes, AT-ATs bases, and buildings to earn gold. Mission 8, Assault on Kill 2, focuses on navigating a canyon and targeting specific structures on the map. Mission 9, Rescue on Kessel, requires disabling a train by hitting ground defenses and using ion cannons. A tip about radar use and unexpected alien advice are also included. This page carries on with the Star Wars Rogue Squadron cheats, diving into Mission 10, Prisons of Kessel. The guide stresses the importance of protecting Madine's shuttle by quickly taking out surrounding turbo lasers, and then dealing with TIE fighters and those pesky Scorinthist walkers. It walks you through repeating the process for multiple prisons and mentions grabbing a missile pickup in a bunker. Next up is Mission 11, Battle above Talarayan. This one's a bit tricky, as you need to destroy Imperial gas tanks scattered across 8 platforms, but beware, some are civilian, and blasting them spells failure. The guide advises sweeping passes on the platforms, and prioritizing turbo lasers, before tackling the tanks and TIE fighters. A notable tip is to fly high and nosedive into the city center for a hidden advanced laser power-up. The screenshots show the platforms and various enemy types. There's also a shot of Luke Skywalker in his cockpit, looking rather bewildered, complaining about being typecast and muttering about Ewan McGregor. A nice little in-joke there. And the green alien from the previous page pops up again in the Tip XTRA box, reminding you about the Force but suggesting cheats if all else fails. Good practical advice, that. Right then, this page carries on with the Rogue Squadron cheats, moving on to a couple more tricky missions. Dati. First up is Mission 12, Escape from Fest. As the name suggests, you're getting out of Dodge. It starts with taking out turbo lasers, then dealing with AT-AT walkers using your tow cable, a classic move. You need to be quick, mind you, to save the ATPT walkers. Watch out for tank droids too, they're a bit annoying. Then it's a chase after TIE bombers, and finally blasting the research facility. The guide gives you a solid walkthrough for handling those walkers and escaping the mess. Holla. Then we have Mission 13, Blockade on Chandrila. This one's an escort job, protecting a supply train. Your main worry here are the TIE bombers, apparently easy pickings if you hang back a bit. After that, you're releasing the blockade by dealing with a second wave hitting the city. The guide points out you'll need to protect evacuation shuttles from TIE bombist walkers. Gotta hit those speed and use missiles, and then mop up the remaining TIE fighters and bombers. The screenshots show off the different enemies you'll be facing, from the lumbering AT-ATs to the zippy TIE bombers, and the slightly quicker ATSTs. Seems like a couple more proper Star Wars dogfights and ground assaults are in store. This guide details 2 challenging Rogue Squadron missions. Mission 14, Raid on Sullust, involves piloting a Y-wing into a volcano to destroy an Imperial capacitor. Prioritize destroying scattered transmitters with ground-based bombs, then target the capacitor once its shield is down. Mission 15, Moff Seardan's Revenge, requires protecting rebel medical supplies on Thifera. Avoid civilians, and focus on destroying initial ATSTs and turrets with missiles. Save missiles for Moff Seardan's shuttle later. Maintain laser pressure, and secure 3 missile hits on him to complete the mission. This Star Wars Rogue Squadron guide details challenging missions. Mission 16, The Battle of Calamari, involves taking down world devastators by targeting shield generators and the top tripod. Secret missions include Beggar's Canyon, a speeder bike race, and the Death Star Trench Run, a classic mission unlocked by achieving silver medals. The Trench Run guide highlights the missile locks functionality on the exhaust port, a detail absent from the movie. Screenshots showcase the action. This page dives back into Star Wars Rogue Squadron, picking up with Secret Mission 3, Battle of Hoth. It walks you through the key steps of the famous battle, blasting probe droids, taking down ATSTs, wrapping up the legs of an AT-AT, and finally defending the shield generator. It's a proper sequence, laid out with helpful screenshots to show you exactly what you need to do to save the day, again. But the really interesting bit is the cheats section. If the mission's proving a bit tough, you can plug in passwords for unlimited lives. give UP, makes you wonder about the dev's sense of humor. Pick your level, Dedak. Mess with the radar, or even give yourself weak shields for a challenge, Ace. More importantly, you can unlock some cracking alternative craft, like the Millennium Falcon, code Farmboy, or the TIE Interceptor, Tied Up, or even lumber around in an Atst. Chicken, yes, really, that's the code. There's even one to change Luke's face, Hard Rock. Good stuff for messing about once you've nailed the missions properly. Little green alien pops up at the bottom, giving the Empire the thumbs down and looking forward to playing Pod Racer next. Sounds like a plan. Worried? The rest of the page is mostly adverts pushing discounted consoles, imported games, backup devices like the Tunguska, and action figures, your standard fare for picking up new gear back then. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. And North Cheshire, blah. The next page is diving right into the wacky world of Silicon Valley, specifically tackling the chilly ice zone. This is part 2 of the guide, picking up where we presumably left off, feeling sheepish and frozen. It's got the game's signature bizarre style front and center, with that lanky alien and the big-eyed sheep welcoming us back. The guide breaks down 3 ice levels: Snow Joke, Ice and Easy Does It, and Penguin Playpen. It gives you the lowdown on how to get through, complete with handy little maps showing key points you need to hit. You get steps telling you where to go, which animal to become, like a husky or a rabbit obviously, and what objectives to clear, hitting switches, collecting bonus balls, or even taking down enemies like walruses or penguins. It's a typical guide layout for the time, showing you the path and the key actions. Looks like you'll be doing a fair bit of transforming and collecting heads in these levels, as you do. Definitely useful if you were stuck trying to figure out what that big computer thingy did. The next page continues the Silicon Valley cheat guide, taking us deeper into the game's bizarre levels. We're tackling Pinball Blizzard, where you'll be transforming from a husky into a snowball, then a penguin, all while taking down enemies and collecting notes to play a sequence on a giant keyboard. Don't forget to grab those bonus balls. It's got a scary looking big orange bear chilling at the bottom, presumably the boss of this Arctic chows. Oh, then there's Hopper Chopper, which sounds just as mad. You start as a penguin, use an umbrella to float, obviously, and eventually get to pilot a heli-rabbit, a helicopter rabbit, naturally, to blow up weapon sites and wipe out those pesky huskies before hitting the teleporter. Finally, something's fishy throws you in the water as a cool cod. You'll be swimming around, finding keys, freeing other fish from cages, and the highlight, becoming a walrus to guide mines into a polar bear. Because why not? The page even shows maps with numbered points, guiding you through each step of these wonderfully weird missions. And just to remind you what sort of game this is, you've got that massive pink elephant, and the iconic green alien face plastered right there. Classic Silicon Valley zaniness. This Silicon Valley game guide covers the jungle levels, featuring a helpful alien narrator. Jungle Japes tasks the player with transforming into a tortoise tank, elephant, and hyena to navigate and solve puzzles. Jungle Doldrums involves riding logs, becoming a hippo, and mimicking a parrot. Swamp of Eternal Stench requires escaping a swamp by becoming a hyena, gorilla, and using vines. Wait for It involves activating switches, killing piranhas, and becoming one, and using an elephant. Each level features a numbered map for guidance. The next page of the Silicon Valley Guide picks up where the last left off, starting with the final bits of the jungle in Jungle Jumps. You'll be finishing up those jungle missions, likely bouncing around as the elephant or gorilla, finding those last couple of keys, and getting past the tricky bits using the numbered points on the map, as always. Then it's off to the scorching heat for the desert levels. Desert, Hot Cross Buns, is a proper puzzle fest, asking you to change those noughts into crosses, and rather satisfyingly blow up speakers with a camel cannon. Don't see that every day. You'll be hopping between forms like the Vulture and Scorpion, exploring tunnels and navigating platforms to get the job done and collect those bonus balls. Following that is Shifting Sand, which sounds exactly like it is shifty. This one uses 2 different maps, A and B, to guide you through the ever-changing terrain. You start as the Desert Fox, but you'll need to switch to the Kangaroo and the Vulture to progress. It involves raising platforms, using wind tents to move the sand, and chasing down characters. You've got to grab the souvenir here too, before finally finishing up by becoming the Vulture one last time to grab any remaining collectibles, and hitting the teleporter. A bit of a head-scratcher, this one. The next page of the Silicon Valley Cheat Zone features 4 new levels. Jurassic Park involves a dinosaur-filled dig site, culminating in a kangaroo hunt. Whirlwind Tour tasks players with transforming between animals to navigate a windy environment. Sting in the Tail challenges players with fox, kangaroo, and vulture transformations to collect souvenirs. The bonus level walkthrough includes 4 minigames: a hoop shooting dog bonus, a camera gun animal shooting challenge, a racing game, and a boxing match against animals. A penguin and a funny alien are also featured. Walkthroughs. This page serves as a cracking guide to the platforming capers of Glover, brought to you by Tipex. It kicks off with your main man, Glover the Glove, alongside a helpful-looking alien fellow. Mind you, there's also a rather unfriendly-looking chap who seems keen on breaking your fingers. Charming. The guide itself is split into sections, starting with the practice course and the main hub, explaining how to open up new worlds by returning those magical balls. It covers the wayrooms which link everything together, and then dives specifically into Atlantis Level 1, giving you tips on navigating the aquatic challenges and avoiding pesky enemies like General Wu. It even spills some secrets for finding extra lives and hidden garibs. There's also a handy key explaining the icons for the ball's different forms. It's all illustrated with a level map of Atlantis and a screenshot to show you what you're up against. Seems like you'll be bouncing that ball quite a bit to get through this one. The next page continues the cracking Glover walkthrough. We're diving deeper into the watery world of Atlantis, picking up the guide from level 2. This section walks you through managing the water and platforms, dealing with those bothersome mallets, and even pushing a metal wall to progress. It also spills the beans on a few secrets in level 2, like tackling General Wu and finding hidden garibs near a pyramid. Then it's on to Atlantis level 3, covering everything from navigating stairs and roofs, dealing with more dibbers, and grabbing that handy speed-up power-up. There's talk of changing the ball into a ball bearing for speed, working with a water wheel, and even more secrets hidden near waterfalls and behind mysterious black objects, promising extra lives, and a sticky fingers power-up that lets you walk on the ceiling. Sounds bonkers. The guide then jumps to Pirates Level 1, starting you high up and describing how to make your way down to the beach, over floating driftwood and crates, across jetties, past a desert island, and onto platforms using ramps, all while snagging garibs and dodging dibbers. Finally, it tackles the big bad Atlantis boss, explaining the 3 different phases, from the bottom-dwelling spitter, to the sideways walking crab, and the bubble-blowing fish. It gives you the tactics needed to take them down one by one. It's all illustrated with level maps and screenshots showing key areas and enemies, including the boss himself. Looks like there's plenty more bouncing and battling ahead. This page carries on with that cracking Glover guide, finishing off Pirates Level 1. It gives you the rundown on navigating the water, dealing with switches, bouncing off geysers, and tackling those troublesome crates and cannonballs. There's even a little map to help you plot your course. You've got the grumpy Tipex bee complaining about bad guys, and the little alien fella giving encouragement for next month's Glover content. Cheeky things. Over on the right, it's all about catching up on what you missed. This is the back issues page, showing off old covers like Zelda 64, Banjo-Kazooie, File 0x, and even the South Park issue. You can order these old mags for a few quid each. Perfect for filling those gaps in your collection. There's a form at the bottom if you fancy picking some up, but apparently, stocks are limited, so best get a move on if you want that vintage N64 goodness. This page kicks off with a glorious spread of cheats, because who doesn't need a helping hand sometimes? The main event is definitely Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, and they've managed to dig up quite a few goodies. Apparently, an alien friend snuck into LucasArts for these. Bless his little green heart. You can unlock all the levels with a simple code, tackle the Death Star trench run, fly the Millennium Falcon, or even swap out Luke for a bloke with a beard. There's also the frankly bizarre option to fly a Cadillac, because why not? Handy little diagram showing you which button is which, on the N64 pad too, just in case you've been living under a rock. Over on the right, there's a brief look at cheats for Space Station, Silicon Valley, including a hidden level, and a different way to start the game depending on which button you hold down. Perrovro. Finally, they're showcasing some guidebooks for various games like Blitz, Body Harvest, and Turok 2, plus some unofficial N64 guides. And, naturally, there's a competition to win the lot by answering a Star Wars question. Get stuck in. This page dives headfirst back into the cheat zone, and this time it's all about the absolute masterpiece that is Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. Forget chipping away at the game the hard way, because Datal, bless their cotton socks, have apparently cracked it wide open. They've pulled a Stormer, as the text says, finding cheats for what feels like everything in Hyrule, promising instant access if you've got the right gear. There's a veritable fountain of knowledge here, covering codes for unlimited items, like rupees, health, magic, and all sorts of tools and weapons. They've even got codes for different tunics and boots, masks, and even the contents of bottles. Just look at Link and Ganon having a friendly natter in those speech bubbles. Worry. Crucially though, there's an important note. These cheats only work with a specific version of the action replay device, 1.13 or higher, apparently because Zelda has some clever anti-cheating tech built in. But don't despair, if you've got an older one, you can get it upgraded for a tenner. And if you've got your own secrets to share, or need a hand, there's the Tipex helpline ready and waiting. Looks like they've really given Link's adventure the cheat treatment. This page is where we get to see who the real N64 heroes are. It's all about Britain's top gamers, showing off their dedication and those all-important high scores and times across a stack of different games. They're even promising prizes, so it's well worth sending in your best achievements, clearly. You've got lists here, covering everything from blasting down the slopes in 1080 snowboarding, racing around in Diddy Kong Racing and 0x, finding secrets in Banjo-Kazooie, and even hitting 100% accuracy in GoldenEye. There are times for levels and scores for challenges, showing serious skill across the board. Then there's the Gamers Gallery, putting faces to some of the top names, like Jonathan Harris, who seems a bit lost in space but nails 0x, and Stuart Richards, crowned Gamer of the Month, who even bagged himself a cartridge. Proper prize that. Over in the Pro Arena they're setting specific challenges, like the legendary Zelda Ocarina of Time horse race, quite the thing to master, and showing off winners for things like GoldenEye accuracy and wipeout 64 times. Looks like Tipex even got in on the action with a 1080 challenge. Finally, there's the How to Enter bit, basically telling you to stop gawking and send in your own proof if you think you've got what it takes to join the ranks of Britain's best. Get those scores in. The N64 Swap Shop page facilitated trading, selling, and begging for N64 games. Users could list wanted and not wanted games, browse individual swap listings, e.g. Turok 2, Diddy Kong Racing, and participate in a shout-out section for informal communication. A Swap of the Month highlighted a featured trade, and a Blag of the Month showcased attempts at getting free games. A form allowed users to post their own ads, making it a central hub for N64 enthusiasts. This page is all about joining the Pro Crew, the official N64 Pro magazine membership. It's a brand new thing they're pushing, promising loads of goodies plopping through your letterbox every single month. They've got Raymond looking pleased as punch about it, and a lovely lass modelling the exclusive t-shirt you get. For just £28, which they reckon saves you a good chunk, you get a funky fanzine, a flashy membership card, mystery bonus gifts, ooh, secrets, exclusive cheats only for members, more competitions, and insider info on 64 games. Plus you get the magazine itself at a decent discount. Signing up looks pretty straightforward. Fill in the form with your payment deets, check, postal order or card, or set up a direct debit. There's even a hotline number if you fancy talking to someone. Looks like a decent haul for your quid if you were serious about your N64 Pro fix back in the day. This page is where the readers get their say, under the rather cheeky title, You Reckon? It's packed with letters from actual gamers, showing off their thoughts, complaints and praise for N64 Pro and the games they're playing. The editor kicks things off, chuffed that everyone loves writing in, admitting he can't wait to dive into replying. Seems like he quite enjoys the job. Rakan. We get a cracking letter from a new N64 owner who reckons N64 Pro's game database is top-notch, helping them pick out gems like World Driver Championship. Another reader throws out a challenge about Rogue Squadron, wondering if there's enough variety. The letter of the month, amusingly titled, Wash Your Mouths Out, tackles the thorny issue of swearing in the mag, suggesting a rather elaborate punishment for those who use bad language. Quite the idea. These lads earn themselves a place in the new Pro Crew, which is a nice tie into the membership drive we saw earlier. Someone else has a moan about the N64 analog sticks wearing out. Ah yes, the dreaded loose stick. And wades into that age-old debate about who's better at gaming, girls or boys, even name-dropping GoldenEye. Clearly touched a nerve with the editor. Featured alongside the letters are screenshots of Star Wars. Looks like Rogue Squadron maybe. World Driver Championship, and a picture of Pierce Brosnan's Bond. It's a good mix of reader interaction and game visuals. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. Fajradoha. This page kicks off the N64 Pro database, pitched as the definitive guide to every game ever made for the console. It explains that scores are out of 100, and highlights games that earn the Sore Thumb Award, presumably for being rather good. The main focus here is the shooting genre. We see reviews for a whole heap of first and third person blasting action. Absolute classics like GoldenEye 007 naturally score highly, hitting a fantastic 96% and grabbing the Sore Thumb Award, lauded as the best FPS ever. Turok 2, Seeds of Evil is another Sore Thumb winner at 94%, praised for its stunning graphics and atmosphere, showing off what the N64 can do. Star Wars, Rogue Squadron also shines with 92% and an award, while its cousin Shadows of the Empire sadly falls short at 59%. Games like Lylat Wars, 91%, South Park 64, 92%, Forsaken, 90%, and Body Harvest 93%, also bag awards for their efforts in the genre. On the other end, Knife Edge gets a rather dismissive 52%. Finally, we hit the prestigious Hall of Fame, listing the magazine's top 10 games overall. Zelda claims the top spot with a mighty 98%, followed closely by IS-8, GoldenEye 007, and Banjo-Kazooie, all tied on 96%. It's a strong list featuring absolute corkers that defined the N64 era. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. Fajradoha. The N64 Buyer's Guide highlights mixed results in the fighting genre. While Mortal Kombat 4 is praised, spin-offs and titles like Clay Fighter received poor reviews. BioFreaks and Fighter's Destiny performed well. Puzzles fared better, with Weetrix and Space Station, Silicon Valley earning high marks. Buster Move 2 and 3, and Glover also received positive feedback. Platformers are led by Banjo-Kazooie, earning a top score, while Bomberman 64 and Chameleon Twist received decent reviews. The next page continues our buyer's guide, kicking off with a few more platformers before diving headfirst into the wide world of sports on the N64. We've got Gex and Iggy's Wrecking Balls, which seem to have fallen a bit flat despite interesting concepts, but Mischief Makers and Starshot, Space Circus sound like wonderfully weird and enjoyable romps worth tracking down. Then, buckle up, because it's all about sports. The sheer variety here is impressive, covering everything from football. That's proper football, mind you, like IS-8, which absolutely smashed it with a 96% and a Sore Thumb Award Best Football Game Ever apparently. And tennis, with Center Court Tennis making a brand new entry, to basketball with NBA Jam 99 hitting a respectable 80%. For those across the pond, there's a whole heap of American football, with Madden 99 leading the charge at a fantastic 92%, plus baseball and even winter sports like Nagano. It's clear the N64 had quite the lineup for sports fans, with plenty of Sore Thumb Award winners sprinkled throughout, showing that developers really started to get a handle on the system for these titles. This buyer's guide continues with more sports games, including NHL titles, wrestling games like WWF Warzone and WCW vs. NWO, and the golf game Wile A Golf. RPG/adventure highlights include the highly praised The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, 98%, and Mission Impossible, 92%. Miscellaneous games cover a diverse range, from the action-packed Blast Corps to the aerial fun of Pilotwings 64, 91% and Sore Thumb Award. Rampage World Tour receives a poor 33% rating, while the page also includes reviews of Japanese import games. This page gives us a sneak peek at what's coming up, and oh boy, it looks like a good one. Front and center is a tease for the Mario Party guide. Boy, promising tips on every minigame and secret. Boy 64 Pro is clearly feeling the party spirit. Boy. We also get a look at future reviews, including the much-anticipated Duke Nukem 0 Hour. There's a blueprint preview for the quirky-sounding Beetle Adventure Racing, and a glimpse into the spooky world of Shadowman. Plus, the Cheat Zone is dishing out guides for Glover and Wipeout. It's a packed next issue by the looks of it. Warrington. The rest of the page is dedicated to a big mail-order section, featuring various hardware and game deals from Special Reserve, offering everything from consoles to controllers and a wide range of games.